Look over here, you see that? That's Hollywood Corner. That is the center point of everybody's directions out here in the Moore Norman area. You ask somebody, you say, hey, how do you get to so-and-so? And you go, well, you know where Hollywood Corner is? You start there and you go 4 miles or 3 miles or north or 2 miles south or 5 miles west or whatever. It was an old roadhouse in honky-tonk. People like Bob Wills, Ray Price, Ernest Tubb would swing through and play outdoor dances. Today it's a bait shop. You get minnows to fish with, you can get bait, tackle, gas.
It's a farm store that our grandparents could give directions from, that our parents could give directions from. There's a sameness to us from our environment, what we grew up with.
The land run of '89, a bunch of free Indian land was going to be opened up to settlers. I hope I get the story right, or my Okie brothers and sisters would be mad, but anyway, it was like a shotgun start kind of a thing. Everybody would have to wait till daylight. At shotgun start, you'd race across the state, and wherever you could get to and stake out was yours, and it was free land. And some of the people went under the rope the night before and went in and had their places staked out and were waiting by the time the contestants all got in, and they call them Sooners because they got there sooner. Some people call them renegades, some people call them cheaters. I call them resourceful.
Oklahoma was settled by people that were outlawish, you know, looking for a future in a place that was probably a little bleaker than they thought it was going to be, but yet they persevered. Turned this state into something from what was perceived to be nothing. So consequently, what you have is a people that are hardy, hardworking, willing to meet any challenge. Everybody in this state has a little piece of that that's been passed down generationally through the stories with grandparents and great-grandparents.
My dad's granddad and his grandmother were married in Limestone County, Alabama, and then they moved their family up to Oklahoma during that land run. They were broom corn farmers. Everything's synthetic today, but everything was broom straw then, and so they bundled that up, put it on the end of a stick. You'd sweep your house with that. Was called broom corn. People that cut that were called broom corn Johnnies. It was a real rough, you know, terrible trade. My dad had one sister. She married a guy from Louisiana, and Uncle John was in the oil field and was doing well, better than the broom corn guys, I guess. As far as I know, my dad started working on rigs with him, and then my granddad later in his life ended up in the oil field with him.
While he was working in the oil field, he would move from different towns or different states. And HK came to Arkansas, married me, brought me back, and then we had 3 little kids born in Oklahoma.
I was the first one born. I was born in Clinton, Oklahoma. Mom drove herself into the hospital. Dad was out on a rig.
Before he was a year old, we moved like 11 or 12 times. HK made his living in the oil field. He was a roughneck back then, and you might go into a town and rig up. You might be in that town 30 days, and you might move on and you to another town.
Up till first grade, we'd lived in a different town every 6 or 8 months. Just pick up and move, get a rent house, live there. The rig, they'd load the rig out, stack it out, stick it on trucks, move it to another area. Everybody followed the rig.
When Toby started into grade school, the first grade, then I quit moving. And HK had to keep moving and coming home when he could. But we felt like the kids needed to be in the same situation and surroundings. We finally got to come to Moore, Oklahoma. Moore America, as HK used to call it. His job brought him back to Oklahoma City. But Oklahoma City being a big, huge town, he decided he would like to live in one of the suburbs.
Moore wasn't that big at the time, just a little spot on the highway.
It wasn't unusual to see a kid on his bike with a fishing pole heading for a pond or a creek or, you know, Mr. Jones' pasture.
Toby used to live across the street right over here in this red brick home.
We were happy there. The kids played Little League ball, and they had their little dog Gordy there, and HK was still in the oil field. There were times back in the roughneck days he would be gone 2 or 3 months.
He would go and it'd be snowing and blowing and cold and, you know, nothing to stop a snowflake in the wind but a barbed wire fence. And Mom would hand him his lunch and push him outside and say, "Get in here, Spot, it's too cold for you out there." Let the dog in, push him out.
I never bothered HK. He had to go and make the living, and I always knew that. If Christmas came and he didn't get to be there, I never looked at it, or the kids never looked at it. Of poor us, you know, Daddy's not home. We always looked at it, hey, it's harder on Dad to be away from us. At least we've got each other.
We never did want for anything, and Dad being gone was just so normal that I never did miss it, I don't think.
Little Toby was a happy kid. He loved everybody. He never had to be entertained. He was always coming up with new things to do.
Back in 4th grade, I won a poster contest for an anti-smoking campaign. I drew a cigarette with a hat and guns and a mask, and his name was Johnny Smoke. And he was gonna kill you, man. In 6th grade, every other Friday, we had creative writing. And it didn't matter how much you did as long as you did something of your own creation. All the girls would take their time and do it right, obviously, or most of them would. And the boys would just do something down, because as soon as you were done, you were free to just go to the back of the room and goof off. And I remember just going page after page. I'd get on the story and just keep going. So I was very creative. And then my grandmother bought me a guitar. And then having my dad, original quipster that he was, being like Will Rogers, and my mom being able to sing like Patsy Cline, it all just meshed into what ended up becoming.
I remember him walking down the halls at school because he was a presence. He was so big.
But I mean, he wasn't threatening in any way. You know, he was Toby. You know, hey, how y'all doing?
I don't think Toby got in a lot of trouble growing up. Now, I do know from talking with Toby that, you know, in his adolescent years that he became quite a scrapper, but I think that's not unusual around here. I don't know, not a single guy I ever grew up with that couldn't use his hands. Some better than others. You can tell by the black eyes at the end of it.
The school bully, when I got to 7th grade, stole a ring at a party. He said that I was gonna cop to it and say that I stole it. And I said, no, I didn't steal the ring. And so he said, well, you're gonna say you did, or I'm gonna beat the hell out of you Monday at school. And I just hung up on him, wouldn't talk to him. When my dad got home Friday night, he answered the phone, talked to the guys. You're gonna do what? Well, you ain't whipped him yet. Well, we'll find out Monday, won't we? And I'm going, Dad, you're multiplying this whipping that I'm gonna have to deal with, you know? And I was big and could fight too, but I didn't fight all the time. And his experience was just scary.
HK sat Toby down and he said, son, you may get whipped, but if you don't fight him, you're gonna have to run the rest of your life from him.
So I didn't sleep all that weekend. I was worried. My dad got up nonchalant Monday morning, went to work like it was no big deal, didn't come in and give me no pep talk or nothing. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. The bus pulled in. He hid down beside the bus. Everybody got off, and as soon as I stepped off, he just sucker punched me. And it didn't knock me off my feet. And I thought, man, if that's his best shot, he got a clean blow in on me. And I didn't get nothing. I didn't get a chipped tooth. I got a little bit of a black eye, and the fight was on, man. When it was over, there was only one cat left standing. The principal came out there and broke it up, took us in the office, and said, call your dad. And he came in. They said, well, he's kicked out of school for 3 days. Dad said, well, I'll have you a 3-day vacation. He didn't say, I'm proud of you, nothing. He just took me in the car, took me home, dropped me off, said, I gotta get back to work. And that's just the way he was raised. It was that simple with him.
And I think that let Toby know right then that he could always believe in himself and he could do anything he wanted to do if he wanted to do it hard enough.
I was hard to deal with after that.